All right, welcome, my brothers and my sisters, to the Two Old Goats. Let's get a little uncomfortable.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
What you got?
So I got a few things I've been working on, talking about passing it on.
Okay, good.
What was given to me, and what am I doing about it? And because it's important that I'm learning that in order to keep what I have to give it away. I
Absolutely.
know early on in my journey that made no fucking sense at all.
Right.
So I think that's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start. It kind of
Yeah.
lines up with something. I had a lot of time behind the wheel driving this last week, so I love to drive because it get to think a lot
Mm-hmm.
and follows good meditation stuff. So kind of what came up to me was spiritual fluency. We've talked about spiritual growing up and stuff like that. But I think the fluency part of it I'm talking about speaks to what you're talking about, and that is how do you share it? Because a lot of us, do the program, we work in it, we read, do our studies and stuff like that. But when it comes time to, boom, somebody's in front of us, we got to talk to them. We don't have the lingo we just don't have the fluency to identify who they are, where they are, and then what we need to talk about after that, or how to approach it.
Right.
So I think that'll fit into what you're.
Yeah. Well, I think we have the fluency.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we get in the way of that fluency. Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the reason why I say that it's the fluency is already there.
Right.
Is because we're supposed to just be a channel.
Correct.
Okay. That's the fluency. The problem that we have is that now we overthink shit. All right, I'm gonna try to figure this person out, right? So I can speak directly to them instead of just letting it fucking flow. Is that what you're talking about?
Sort of, but I think it's more. Yeah, it's going to come out naturally if you're practicing it.
Right.
That's the thing. If you're not practicing it, it's going to come out wrong. You have to do this, or people aren't going to be interested, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but talk to me about this word practice. Because I can practice how I speak to people.
Right.
So I can be fluent when I speak to them. But I don't think that's the practice you're talking about. I think you're talking more about practicing our program at all times in all affairs. So then no matter what comes, we will be fluent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to clarify.
Okay.
Because I can be
left that pretty open.
I can be like Joel Osteen and all those other guys where I can practice my speech
You can't
make you all feel good.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
I'm talking about like when somebody okay, we're in a meeting and somebody brings up a topic or somebody shares where they are. Well, automatically to me, different parts of the book, different pages start coming to mind, and this is what deals with that, and this is what deals with this, and here's the right attitude to have, and to be able to get around the program and the principles and share them,
right?
So that people understand, or people that it helps people, not just dumping on them and go, oh, you got to do this, this, and this.
Well, also I think along with those lines, right? We're supposed to practice these principles in all our affairs.
100%.
That means we need to be getting out there and experiencing new shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because new shit's always happening. And I think the more that we experience, the more fluent we can get.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of the times, what got me here ain't going to help me over there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, getting off your ass and getting out there and experiencing things like what you did, just get in the car and drive, go on a vacation. I think what's going back to what our talk is the spiritual walk about planting seeds. We have to have a time to replenish.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I think a lot of us forget about that. You know, we get so wrapped up in the mundane daily flow of things, and we forget that even Jesus had to step outside into the woods once in a while and recharge.
Right.
You know,
I agree, and I felt a lot that's a lot like what that was, what I just did. So
well,
it
I'd
was
like to
some
hear
time
more
away.
about that. About you
Well, it was
replenishing.
just the good part. It was time to get. It was a chance to get away, a chance to get from the daily clamors, as our book says. But time to get had a good time driving and then camping and then doing all the physical stuff. It wasn't. Uh,
You got to move. There it
there you go. Good
goes.
job. Uh, but it's not like and we tent camped. So you had to set up everything, set up your bed, yeah, whatever. Nothing was already done. So it's kind of, it's an older way of life. And then we went to Palo Duro Canyon, where a lot of history there, a lot of the Indian history and the Comanches and Quanah Parker and that type of stuff, and realizing how those people lived. Uh, I mean, it's a hard life up there on the plains. It's no water, no, the wind's blowing all the time. It's either hot as hell or cold as hell,
Yeah.
and people survive that shit. So it was more of the way I looked at that was, a lot of this stuff we do is we lie to ourselves and we accept it and believe it until, we were reading Goggins this week, until reality jumps up and kicks you right square in the pants. And that's what it was to me. I was thinking of their reality and our reality, and even a lot of their customs, and when the way they treated their enemies and stuff like that. To us, or to the Americans then, it was against their morals and all that. Well, the Indians were like, I don't know what you are talking about. This is what we do. And by the way, that's kind of how you are treating us too. So, So anyway, not to get way off on that, but it was a lot of that. And it was a lot of, little pictures here and there of, myself, so to speak, other people that I go, oh man, that looks like fun. And then the guy gets out and, how in the hell does he think he's going to do that? And I'm sitting there thinking, oh shit, that's me.
Right.
So that's the reality that kicks you in the butt and says, are you ready? Do you want to be in this part of your life, or there's some things that you can do about it to, get better?
Right.
So that's what a lot of it was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know when you came back, you definitely, I think it was last episode we were talking about the bigger eyes and the gray skin and the alien look.
Right.
You were looking like that, but when you came back,
Yeah.
you had a refreshed look.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you could breathe again.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was good.
A little bit. It's kind of, I kind of came up with a journey or a path, and I'm going to try it for a while and see how it works.
So did you do any peyote while you were out there to get the third eye?
No. I was with teachers. Yeah, we did interesting hikes with teachers.
Okay.
Yeah,
that would definitely be interesting.
Interesting 3-mile hikes.
Full 3 mile.
Well,
yes.
They decided we were going on a 3-mile hike. When I got to the trailhead, you could see a picture of the trail, and where we were hiking to was 3 miles.
Right.
So they weren't taking into account
the 3 miles.
You got to hike back, and it's the same. It was up hills and kind of mountainous, not mountainous, but real big hills and stuff like. And it was 100, 102, and you're up on the plains, and we were down in the canyon. So there wasn't a whole lot of breeze, and that sun hits you in the head, your heart rate starts going up pretty quick.
Okay.
So we got about halfway there, and we could see in the distance what we were looking for.
Yeah.
which is a stack of rocks that they called the lighthouse. And I go, look, y'all can see it from here. And everybody goes, oh, let's take a picture. Okay, let's go back. It is a good thing because right when we got back, they had just closed the trail because it was too hot. So yeah, it was fun.
I think I might have to take a trip up there.
Yeah. Oh, it's a blast. The last time we were there, it unexpectedly, typical plains weather, dumped 2 inches of snow on us.
Okay.
And that was at a spring break a long time ago.
Were you thinking about the snow while you were out there?
No.
No.
No. No, but it was good. We saw a good play too. They had the Texas show or Texas play, whatever it was, a live play outdoors with lots of special effects, and they used the mountain behind the thing for a lot of the special effects, and had horse riding and donkeys and
Did you ride the
all
donkeys?
stuff. Oh no, that was in the play. It was all in the play. But you could ride horses out there.
Not the donkeys.
They may have some mules. I don't know about donkeys.
Okay.
Donkey would look at me and go, "Oh hell no!"
Now that's an ass.
There you go. There's one. There you go.
That's a good one. All right. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about So we talked about recharging, right? We talked about getting out there, experiencing things. We talked about the fluency, right? Practicing this stuff. So then let's get back to what I'm talking about, passing it on, planting the seeds. So talk to me.
Well, I think first of all, before you pass anything on, you have to have something.
Okay.
So, the only way to have this or have, a spiritual way of life is to live it. And you have to live it in, as it's not we live one way at meetings and with our friends, and we live another way at work. And some people compartmentalize everything. We can't do that. And I think if we're living that, it gets pretty easy to pass it on because people are attracted to that. And we've all had the experience of, I tell the story, it's happened to me a few times, but I've had, people in the parking lot, older lady one time couldn't get her keys to fit in the car, and a couple of guys were walking by her, and she acted like she was going to ask them to help her, and she didn't. And then whenever I got up there, she goes, "You're the one. Can you help me?"
Okay.
And I said, "I'm not sure what you're talking about." She said, "I can't get my key to fit in my car."
Right.
And I said, "Well, this is a Toyota key and this is a Honda. So do you have another key?" And she said, "That's not my car." 3 cars down was her car, but it was the exact same color, and they looked real similar, same type of make. Yeah. And so, we found her thing, but it was interesting how, she was picking between people that she was gonna ask to help, and the other people, they were just normal looking people. They weren't weird or nothing. And we've all had people just come up to us and kind of start talking, and then next thing you know, they're telling basically their life story,
right,
in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then say after that, "I don't know why I told you that."
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me of I want to say the book was The Hunters and Gatherers that we talked about.
Yeah, the one I couldn't remember. Oh, sorry, guys. I got it. I put it in the thing.
I think it was in that book, or it was in the book after that, Sapiens. They talked about that we're all vibrations, right?
Yeah, that was Sapiens.
That's Sapiens. Yeah. So the vibrations, and that's where the attraction is, that we're at the same frequency. So if you kind of imagine yourself as a radio, right? And you're listening to 94.5, and then all of a sudden KSBJ or whatever comes over, you're like, shit, they don't speak my language. Like, I can feel different rhythms and stuff. And so I kind of know what that lady was going through, looking around like, no, I don't want to ask this one. I'm like, oh, that one. I can feel like there's a connection there. So you guys were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that's the attraction, or the, whatever we're putting out, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I used the word fluency earlier, uh, and to get to what you're talking about, once people are attracted to us, can we talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was president of the French club in high school, and if I met a French person right now, I could tell them, a few words.
Right.
But when they go, "Oh, he knows French," and then they go, "Blah blah blah," I'm lost.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that's the way a lot of us are in the spiritual life when it
Okay.
comes to sharing it, because and the bottom line is it gets down to, how much are we living it? Because you have to have a couple of things you have to have fluency, I think. Hey, Bo. Uh, you got to know yourself. You have to know your program. You got to know your audience or who you're talking to, because we talk to different people different ways. I mean, some people need a 4x4 upside the head, and
That's me.
yeah, and some people just need somebody to tell them the truth and care, and be there for them. So it just depends on where you are on that spectrum. And then I think you have to have some experience.
Yeah.
In that, and the experience comes from the way we live. Um, so I
Yeah.
think those are a few requirements.
Well, I think all that goes along with the frequencies, the experiences, the fluency, all that stuff comes together on basically putting this stuff into practice, right? We're experiencing new stuff, so now we have different wavelengths. We're attracting different people. We have more experiences. So when they come up, we can speak their language and they can hear us, and then that's where the secret of this whole thing that we're doing of the freedom, right? The whole reason why we're doing this is that direct connection of that unlimited resources
Right.
of our higher power, right? And the only way that we can get that is by giving of ourselves. It's the only way, right? So the more experiences we have, the more opportunities we have to share, the more connections that we can do, the more freedom we get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then going to passing it on, it frustrates me once in a while. I see people in our program or other programs for that matter that have received that hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're on the brink of death, tragedy, trauma, drama, whatever it is. And somebody that's doing this passes, their hand is out and they take it
Mm-hmm.
and they get the full gamut, all of it, right? The whole, this is how you have the connection, this is how you can live a free life, and this is stuff. And once they've obtained all of it, they stop.
Yeah, or they don't pass it on.
They stop.
They just absorb it, right? And sit there, or they go to meetings.
They're not experiencing anymore. They're not getting out there working with newcomers anymore. They're not reaching out to anyone. They decide that basically their life is done. They don't even want to experience new things in life, And I think it's a shame. First of all, it upsets me at times because it doesn't make sense to me. Why, if somebody allowed their higher power to work through them to save another human, and then that human cuts it off instead of continuing to pass it on, man, does that's one of those things that gets my fucking goat.
Oh yeah. Well, we hear it a lot. People say, "Oh, I'm not good at working with other people. I do this. I do other stuff instead, other service instead."
Yeah.
And that's good. We need people to do other service, whatever you're in, but that doesn't take the place of that intensive work, one-on-one.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about. It's the practice of the one-on-one work.
Right. Well, that's just like what I was sharing with everybody last night when we were talking. Man, I love sitting down with some people, reading whatever the book. It doesn't matter really the book. They all have the common thread. The books that we read, that it's about first and foremost admitting that I am where I am because of me. Right. There is a solution, and guess what? It's me,
Right.
right? I have to connect with
I
something
got it.
greater than myself.
That's right.
So the solution's in here. And now, how many more people can I share this with? You know, and that's the great part about it. They're missing out on all this stuff, and and the reason why they're scared is they're back in ego again. They're back in self again. You know, They're like, all right, I got free. Now I'm gonna hold this shit. I ain't gonna let no one in on this.
Right.
You know, and they don't realize that they're going backwards. They're getting further and further away from the stuff that freed them. You know, they may not be drinking, may not be doing drugs, whatever it may be, but they're dying. So I'm gonna put my dogs away.
I think she wants to play.
Oh yeah,
She brought me a toy.
yeah. Sorry for that. Greg.
Take a break. We're back.
Yeah, we were talking about what it was getting my goat about somebody that is obtaining that freedom, the life saving, the connection with their higher power, and then turns around and doesn't put their own hand out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I went into talking about they're missing out on the greatest part of the miracles.
Right.
You know, it just doesn't stop there. There's so many more miracles out there, and to continue passing it on and giving it away freely.
Well, that's the sad. It's sad whenever we see somebody, that's been around for, I can tell you somebody that's fixing to celebrate 9 years, and doesn't work with other people and stuff like that. And the sad part is thinking of, wow, where could this guy be? Because that's where we really grow. That's the magic. When I feel the magic in helping other people, that's when I'm usually one-on-one helping somebody.
Right.
I don't know. I think you're, like you said before, you're robbing more than robbing someone else, because if you're not willing to work with them for whatever reason, then they don't need you. Right. They need somebody who wants to work with them, but you're really cutting yourself short. The main thing that our program charges us with over and over is continual growth.
Correct.
That's it. If you're not growing, you're not sitting still, you're going backwards. And that's an opportunity for that continual growth. When I sit down with somebody one-on-one, he comes from a whole different life. It might be, a basketball player, or a lawyer, or a priest, or electrician. Transmessmites. Yeah. They're not the hardest ones. The hardest ones to work with are the freaking engineers.
Yeah.
So I've buried more engineers
and doctors.
And doctors.
We've had a few doctors.
Yeah, right on the same. So, that we all have a common problem, and I've been blessed with a common solution that I want to share.
Right.
And it reminds me of I was listening to another podcast, and the guy was talking about forget the guy's name, but he was real eager to talk about Jesus all the time. And this was back in the day when that was what people wanted to do, was talk about being a Christian and talking about Jesus. So this guy was just going around and telling everybody about it, to the point of the town was sick of hearing it.
Okay.
So they sent somebody to talk to him and sit down with him, and the guy listened to him and was respectful, and he told him, well, you're just too zealous, and people are tired of hearing it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the guy says, well, come look out this window over here. What do you see? And the guy that came to give him the news says, well, I see people going about their day, taking care of their duties and their chores, and they don't need to be bothered by someone else telling them religious things that they're not interested in.
Okay.
The guy that had been doing all the religious talk looks out the window and starts crying. And he says, I see people that are in pain, and they're headed for an endless hell that they don't know about unless they get the news.
Right.
That was his feeling, and that's, his way about Christ. So he feels, it's my job to tell them. It's my job to be available. And that's what you're getting at. our job is to fit ourselves to be a maximum service.
Okay.
And I was always scared because I thought God was sending me to Africa to work with the pygmies,
Right.
to punish me for all the, all my past or whatever, all my shortcomings. And turns out God's pretty practical.
Right.
He goes, "You're not really built for that or
Right.
working with
The
pygmies." He goes, "But you're pretty good with drunks." So I'm going to let you hang out here and work with drunks.
There you go.
So that's what I do.
And here you are.
And here I am, right where God put me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. When we're talking about giving it away, passing it on, and being the messenger, right? Because I completely understand about that guy looking out the window and crying, because it's, I see a lot of individuals. Sometimes I see myself,
Mm.
and it is sad. It is, because the message is right there. It's very obvious, right? Deep down inside of all of us, we know what the message is.
We
right?
know.
We tie it up, convolute it, twist it, do whatever we can because we don't want that to be the truth.
We don't want that to be the answer.
Right? But the truth is I get in a lot of trouble because I am the mouth that will tell you,
Yeah.
And
I want to talk about that.
I don't want to put a pin in that. I don't want to fucking talk about
that. Oh, put a pin in that.
Anyway, so yes, telling people the truth, planting those seeds, and that's been my rebuttal is what they do with that, that's on them. How they take it, whatever it is, that's on them. But at the end of the day, if I feel something inside of me that and I'll call people, is this me or is this God?
Mm-hmm.
And majority of the time that's not me. Because the truth is most of the time I don't really care that much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. But this program has taught me that sometimes it's not about me.
Oh, dang.
So
you have to be so harsh.
I know, right? So then, I just need to say it,
right?
And then I just walk away, and that's where it is.
Yeah.
Unless I love you, then I'm going to drill the fucker, drill it until you hate me.
Well, there's a difference in kind of what I was wanting to tie that to. What you're talking about is we get that. The last time I felt what you're talking about was in a meeting that started, and then we had a newcomer in there, and I hate the way we run newcomer meetings in general. So anyway, I was getting upset, and I was sitting there thinking, why am I getting angry? This is the normal thing, and
right.
So I said something or whatever, and it's funny because thinking about that came up while I was driving this week. And it wasn't, there's anger. Anger's different. The way I relate to anger is, I remember early in sobriety, I was mad at somebody or something, and I called up my sponsor, Steve, and I kept telling him, "This son of a bitch, blah 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 blah," and cussing the guy out, and he goes, "What are you so afraid of?"
Mm.
And I said, "I don't think you heard me. I'm pissed off. I'm fixing to whoop this guy's. I was probably fixing to get my ass whooped, but I was hot." And he goes again. He goes, "What are you so afraid of?" Mm. And back then we had those heavy phones, the real phones on the wall. I slammed that son of a bitch down, hung up on his ass, because apparently he didn't understand. But see, when we put in our human will and our human wants, that's anger. But that's not what I was feeling. What I was feeling was my spirit inside was getting riled up.
Right.
And to me, the word I come up with for that was activation. My spirit was activating me to do something. My spirit is saying, this is not okay. Especially with newcomers. If everybody in there has been there for 6 months and been, whatever, fine. I'm going to let a lot of stuff slide. But we got newcomers in the room. No, this is what we're here for. This is the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So I think somewhere in there, my spirit activated me or gets me riled up. You know, the little spirit person inside of me says, "That's bullshit.
Right.
We ain't doing it. It's not about right or wrong. It's about how do I help somebody? What's the best way to help somebody? And whenever we're just doing it in a way that works against everything, I think sometimes that what you're talking about when you see something, you know, you say you're the one that's going to say something,
Right.
and a lot of people take that as, oh, he's angry.
Right.
It's not anger. You're activated.
I'm a nice guy.
You're fairly.
Yeah, I'm a big cuddly nice guy.
Fairly nice, but I think that's your spirit activating you to do something.
I think so.
So
I agree with you.
I don't know. I get excited about it. I think sometimes when people look at me funny, you know, after meetings or in meetings and stuff, but it excites me.
It does.
Yeah, it gets me going.
You said a word earlier. You said the word overzealous.
Yeah.
A little history lesson.
Okay.
There was a group of overachievers back in right around the year 080.
Okay.
Okay. And they were called zealots.
Yeah, zealots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, zealots.
And I don't know if it's true or not. They state that Jesus may have been one of them.
Okay.
Because it was about sharing the message. It was about getting out there and being of service. Mm-hmm. And they were like, don't be a zealot. You're overzealous. That's where that word came from.
Okay, I didn't know.
I didn't know either. I just made that shit up. But it sounded fucking good.
Sounded pretty good. My understanding, you were a little bit off, but I didn't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
You could be right.
I literally just thought about it. I was like, I'm going to share this online and see how many people buy it.
There you go. All right. I love it.
You buy it, we're going to sell some zealot shirts.
That's right. Yeah. With some goats on it.
With overzealous goats.
Right. Absolutely. Well, good. Yeah.
Little history note real quick.
I like it. Yeah. I like it.
All right. So we I think we got it all. I think we talked about the passing on, giving it away freely, the recharging, the planting of the seeds. What else you got?
Well, just, I don't know, kind of one other thought I had on fighting ourselves and a lot of the stuff we just talked about, and how do we get into the mode of doing this. I think it's in the first part of Philippians 1. It says somewhere in there, I'm not sure exactly, but I wrote it down. It came up to me. He who has begun good works in you shall continue until the day of Christ. So in other words, once we get the Spirit and we can make that connection with the Spirit, mm-hmm. It's going to keep going. And a lot of times the trouble we have is because it's our ego and our self wanting to play God, and we're battling that Spirit inside of us instead of listening to it, and aligning with it. Because it's like you said earlier, deep down inside, we know.
Right.
We know that's the devil trying to darken that out.
Yeah.
But we already know, it's just a matter of, are we going to believe it? Are we going to listen to it? Are we going to take action?
Well, the interesting thing, so when you're talking about that, he who has begun good works. So that's where we're going out there being of service, right? Helping, giving of ourselves to others.
Well, this is talking about God who's done good works in us. God started
which
good
I
work.
am the I am, so it makes sense, right?
So we're out doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. So we're out there being the channel,
right?
Being the tool, right? We're the hands, we're the eyes, we're the mouth, right?
Right.
And
Tip of the spear.
I like just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip.
Right? Shall continue until the day of the Christ. Now, do you remember when you were talking about the fluency?
Yes.
So if you think about Christ is the messenger. He's here to tell you the good news.
Right.
So now if you read that way, the day of the opportunity to share the message
is
through continuing doing good works. And then you can obtain the spiritual fluency. That's it.
That's it.
We figured out the formula.
And that's the formula.
Keep doing good works, having experiences, practicing these principles, allowing our higher power to guide us. And then when the moment comes, we shall be fluid.
Yeah, fluid to help
To
other people.
spread our seeds.
Spread the seeds. That's
everywhere.
right. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
All
right, that's all I got.
Yeah, me too. That's about it. Not a whole lot else. It's a good little break.
Mm-hmm.
So we skipped one, but we'll make it up at some point. Maybe we'll do an extra one this weekend.
We'll do one this week.
Yeah.
So. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hope we made you feel very uncomfortable today.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
And if I offended anyone, don't forget to
donate.
Donate.
If you got offended.
All right. Thank you.